So for you, it's describe your season in 4 words.
4 words. Okay. Oh man. It was very humbling, um, learning experience, and amazing. I'd say that it was like in that kind of order as well. So
Order. Okay, I
yeah,
like.
it was like in that kind of order as well. Yeah.
I think you're the first person to give it an order.
Yeah.
Actually, this one I thought about this morning in the shower. I was like, I wonder what Austin Cole's favorite app on his phone is. So what's your favorite app on your phone?
Favorite app on my phone? Probably on Instagram a lot. So I'll say Instagram right now. Trying to, yeah, I'd probably say Instagram. Yeah.
Nice. What's your favorite track to run on, like anywhere in the world?
Well, I'm gonna say in Italy, that was my favorite track to run on because that's my PB track. So indoors, I'd say Butterdome because that's where I trained most of my life.
Yeah, we'll come back to like the Italy later and like
Yeah, yeah.
European trip. Yeah.
For
Um, what's your favorite lane to run in?
Indoors, it's gonna be lane five because if it's a 6 lane track, lane five, and if outdoors, it'd be like four, five, or six. So
Yeah,
middle lane, yeah,
a bit wider.
yeah, middle lane and a little bit wider, yeah.
What's like you on Instagram you like often post like you're kind of in the gym doing stuff. What's your favorite exercise to do in the gym?
Mm, um, Probably power cleans are definitely one of my favorite exercises. I feel like um, they kind of combine a bunch of stuff that we would do in the gym, and then kind of makes it a little more transferable to what we can do in the track and stuff like that. And also, I'm pretty good at them, so it feels pretty natural. And when you start lifting pretty heavy weight, it feels pretty good in the gym to do that. So yeah,
What's
probably
your
power cleans. Yeah,
no, what's your PR?
and power clean. That probably last year it was 125 kilos from the grounds. So yeah, 125 kilos. So I don't know what that is. It's like around what is that? What is that in pounds?
Probably 270.
120, 125 times 2.2. Yeah,
Yeah.
like 275. Yeah, that was really. It wasn't pretty, but it got up there.
It's pretty heavy. Power clean too. Um, I have a bit of some longer questions.
Sure.
Um, so like, you got some big changes this year. You announced that you're not returning to U Sports.
Hmm.
You're gonna like pursue a professional track and field career. What are some factors that went into deciding like this new chapter of your life where you're gonna pursue a professional track and field career?
Yeah, so a lot of it happened kind of over the summer. A lot of it developed over the summer. I started realizing that I really enjoyed being on the pro circuit. That was like my first introduction to it, and I wanted more of that experience. Um, and also, I just finished my degree in university, and so if I wanted to go back into it, then I would have to start another master's degree or something. And I kind of wanted to break from school as well. And so it was all developing all at the same time. Kind of a lot of factors played into it, but it really came down to the fact that yeah, I wanted to keep experiencing being on the pro circuit, being in these top tier meets, being around like the best in our sport, because that's just what my goal has always been to be there at that elite level. And so now that I'm finally kind of reaching that threshold. I've still got a lot of work to do, but now I'm kind of reaching that upper threshold that I want to be in. I want to be in more of those opportunities, and if I went back to school, that might limit that from happening, I guess. As I'd have to go through the U Sports season, and I wouldn't be able to compete in those like higher competitions indoors, or even potentially just skip indoors and prepare for the high competitions outdoors and just have the main focus on that. So Yeah, that was kind of the main decision factors is I was done school and I wanted to be on the pro circuit more often.
Does that kind of go hand in hand with like now that you're training with Altus, right? You left your coach that you've been with for a while. You kind
Mhm.
of now you're in Altus. Is that kind of like the same thing? Like you want to train with higher level athletes?
Little bit of that, yeah. And the main move of me training down at Altus is it was the environment, environmental factors with like the weather, the training facilities, the access and stuff that we have. It's a lot more gives me a lot more opportunity and to reach that higher threshold, that elite level that I want to be at. And it wasn't a coaching decision. It was more so the environment that really impacted that decision and where I wanted to be. Like I'm still probably going to come back to Canada, um, you know, for a certain amount of weeks, you know, visit family and stuff. And during that time, my old coach Rob will still be, you know, like watching me run and not running the program, but watching, you know, running the sessions with me and making sure that I'm doing good. So like, there's still a lot of collaboration going on between them, and it's not just one coach. Kind of like not me just like completely leaving my coach and stuff. So it's more of like an environmental decision to get down here and be around. And yeah, the one that you mentioned with the other the athletes and stuff, that's also a big factor too because there's some girls down here that are kicking my ass in workouts. So it's kind of humbling in that experience too. So
Do you how do you find the training different down in Altus compared
yeah,
to you
I've
were
only
doing?
started in 3 weeks for 3 weeks or so. So we're still trying to, you know, work with my coach and see what he thinks is best and stuff down here because he hasn't really watched me train that much at all. So this is kind of his first time seeing me. Um, but so far it's a lot more running, but that's because we have more access to facilities, right? We were able to do that. We can't really run outside in the snow. We can't. We gotta be in the Butter Dome right now. Like right now, it's snowed in Edmonton already, so right now we'd be in the Butterdome, and that's pretty hard on the body with the you know, the track and stuff. And so right now we're still on the turf outside, and we're running like tempo, a lot more tempo work. Um, and so far it's been good, but it's been tough for sure. So
How do you find like the training partners down there opposed to running with like different people?
no, they're pretty good. I mean, we're still I haven't really met any of them before, so it just you know takes a little bit of time to kind of you know introduce yourself and get acquainted with them and you know earn each other's respect and stuff like that and really start opening up. It takes a little bit, and I think the last week was really like a um, I guess like there's a lot of progress in that term in terms of that. So, um, but for workout wise, they're really good. They're all hard workers down here, so they all show up on time, ready to work. So that you can't really ask for much more when you want a training group. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Taking a step back from this season and
sure,
going back to 2016 when you were like 17, right?
okay,
It was your first season, and like within 8 months of training, you already picked up a silver medal at Athletics Canada Trials, the 200.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
looking back then, do you ever think you'd become a professional athlete?
So as a kid, I was always like, I want to be a professional hockey player. I want to be a professional hockey player. I want to be a professional athlete. This is what I want to do. And so when that didn't work out, because I played hockey all the way up into midget, and I was playing midget double, and and it didn't look like I was going to go too far in hockey. Like I got some tryouts for junior A, for junior B, but I was like, let's just give track some serious consideration this year. And so I started training indoors throughout my hockey season, like once a week. And then as soon as I was done my hockey season, I started training full time um, outdoors with Rob. And yeah, after like that summer, I quickly switched my mindset. Like, yeah, I could be a professional track athlete. I could do this because I enjoyed it so much too. Like I had a lot of enjoyment in it, and so I was like, yeah, and I was quickly getting better, and I was like, okay, yeah, I have a lot of opportunity here. I could see myself doing this, and that was kind of the goal after that summer. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, yes, I did see myself as potentially becoming a professional athlete.
Also like and kind of like talking about like getting quick really fast, right? You're in like I think your first 400 was like 52, and then you ran 49.64, and then in 2019 you broke 46 seconds for the first time in the 400. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, so to go back to that 52 second run, I was at high school provincials, right? Um, I was told by my coach because I ran all three events that year to just jog the the 400. So I didn't really know how to run it. So I was just like kind of like making sure I got first in my heat. And so who knows what I would have ran if I was actually like fresh because that the last 400 was around 49.6. That was my last race of the meet, and that was yeah, that was my sixth race of the whole meet. So I was pretty pretty tired. So um, but then to 2019 when I finally broke 45 at NACAC, that was a pretty big moment for me because um, that was my first international medal as well, or individual international medal as well there. So that was just I wasn't really worried about the time. I was more worried about getting on the podium. I was just trying to get third. As soon as I come off the last 300, the last 100 meters there, and I realized I was in third. I was just trying to hold my position, and then the time came up and it was 45. So that was all. That was another bonus. It was like, oh yeah, I finally got a bronze medal, and then the bonus um, the bonus was the time. So yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience overall. That whole meet was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then another big accolade of yours is breaking the U23 300-meter record. What was that like?
Oh yeah, that was a race. Oh, okay, that race was that was a lot of tension in that race. All year, everyone was, you know, thinking about that race with because Phil Osei came to U Sports, Daniel Harper came to U Sports, and Graham Thompson started running really good. All the golf guys were running really good at the time, and they're all running 33 low. And everyone and I just won the previous 2 years, and so everyone's thinking, oh, this 300 is going to be something else. And sure enough, it was definitely like a moment that it was a moment that set up for a perfect race. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of anticipation, and that just set up for the time again. Like 32:89 was just a supplement of the fact from that race. There's the moment around it was my thought process was just win, and compete and win, and that's what I was trying to do. I didn't really worry about what the time was going to be. I just wanted to make sure I came out on top. That was all I was thinking about, and executing my race to the point. Because me and my coach were working on the corners there because it's a bank track, and so me and my coach we work on the corners. On the Wednesday, we probably did like 5 or 6 runs on each corner, just working on them, and then we finally figured out what worked for me, and we just focused on that. And that's all I thought about doing the race was like it was just what we worked on in practice, and that's what that seemed to help, seemed to work, and I came out on top. So yeah, but that was a surreal experience because all year all I was thinking about was that race in my head. I was like, oh man, this could be the year where I lose. This could be the year. I'm gonna make sure I don't. And every time I stepped on the track for training, that was like what I thought about. So it was pretty cool to have that kind of rivalry. So
Yeah. It's pretty good. Like that's kind of like when Kanye said people were wondering what would happen if I if I lost. And then I guess we'll never know, right?
oh well, I did lose this year. But big ups to Carson. He had a great year this year, and it was a great race, and you know he had a little more like yeah. I know that was something that he wanted to do like his whole career too. So it's well deserved for him. So
talking about more a bit about U Sport.
Yeah.
Uh, I think his name is Ramzi Abdullahi. You seem to always kind of like be like you guys always kind of had like a battle in the
Yeah. I mean, that was my rookie year, and he was having a really great year, and I think it was Windsor. Was it Windsor? Yeah. He had a great year that year, and I didn't know what to expect. I opened up with like 34-7, and then 34-1, and then around 34-0 in the semifinals at U Sports, and then I didn't know what to expect in the final because that was my first year running like an indoor season. I didn't know what to expect. All I wanted to do is go out there and compete and win. Like I don't think about the times ever. So um, yeah, that was kind of interesting because in the 4x4 that meet as well, I started to chase him down again, and it was super close, but he held on for the win on that one. But yeah, we had a little bit of rivalry that year for sure because um, yeah, he ran. I think he ran 33 point earlier that year, so I knew that he was going to run fast, and I wasn't expecting too much, but I just knew I wanted to try to beat him. That's all I was thinking.
yeah yeah. It seemed like you guys were pretty close, but
I don't. I hadn't really. I really haven't had that many conversations with him, but I know that he's a good guy. Like I talked to him after the races a bit, and you know he was really respectful and stuff. So I wasn't as close with him as I am with like Phil or with Harper and stuff. So
yeah, and like kind of talking about Philip Osei, you ran on I think it was the World Relays team you ran
yeah, we
with.
were on the World Relays team together. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what was that like?
On the mixed relay team. Oh yeah, that was really that was kind of surreal. We went to Japan for like a month, and then went to Yokohama. So we went to actually what it was is we went to Japan for a month, and we ended up testing out the Olympic staging site for the next year. Um, so we went to I think the place is called Gifu, or yeah, Gifu or Gifu. No, Gifu. It was definitely yeah, Gifu, and that was a staging site there, and they had a really cool like training facility. It had two tracks side by side, and then I think um, what happened is after 2 weeks of there, yeah, we went to Yokohama, and then that was like you talk about like if you think about any like big city in Japan, that's what you expect. Yokohama is really cool experience. And then actually running in front of on the big stage, I think that was probably that point was probably my biggest event. Yeah, that was probably my biggest event I've been to, and so um, that was a that was something to remember for sure because I was starting a starting leg, and I just wanted to make sure that I make sure I could set the team up for a good exchange because starting leg is a really big deal, especially in the relay in the 4x4 because you got to make sure you set yourself up to give the second person a chance to cut in and get that inside lane. And being a part of that team, I think you know Phil and I raced against each other that indoor season, but then as soon as we came outdoors, we realized that we had to work together a bit to reach a common goal, and it worked out for us really well. And yeah, representing Canada on that world stage and setting the Canadian record, and then coming back and setting the Canadian record again, and winning a silver medal. That was just something that you only dreamt of as a kid. You know, running around with the flag on the with a flag around the track. You know, running and do a victory lap and stuff. You only dreamt of that as a kid. So that was that was a really cool experience for sure.
Also talking about like running overseas, right? You're
Yeah,
going back to Italy, like, and so you ran some races in Italy and Switzerland. You ran your
mhm,
top two fastest times or top two fastest 400s in
yeah.
Italy. No, what kind of changed in Europe? What was so different about Europe? What was the experience like?
So yeah, so that there's a big thing that led up to that was, and it would to answer to kind of tie in with that that first question you asked me about the four words. I had a big learning experience this year, and that was kind of learning how to actually run a 400 properly, because in 2019 and 2018, when I was running 400s, I would pretty much just go all out and just hold on for the longest, as long as I could. And then like kind of with COVID years and stuff, those years they don't really count. But this year I started really focusing on like learning how to run the 400, and it took a little bit of time. So I opened up a little bit later than normal, and nationals is when I started to really start to kind of figure it out, around 45:90 or 93. Yeah, 45:93. And I was probably like, I realized that I went out too slow because I was catching Nathan at the end, but he was already way too far ahead. Like, he had an unreal run. And so then in Edmonton, I came back to Edmonton the next week, and that was a warm up to Worlds race. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to, go out really, really fast, and, hold on, because my strength has been really good the last 100 meters. And then that's when I blew up again. I started tying up really quickly around 350, and then I had nothing left in the last 50 meters, and they just ran past me. And I ran like a 21:0 split, and that's a little bit too fast for me. So then, and then from the Edmonton meet, me and my coach worked in practice. We really worked on finding that tempo, finding that speed that you need to run in the first 200 to go to the backstrap, and or to have enough energy on the home stretch, and to really run through. And so when I got accepted to go to Italy, I got into those meets. One, my mindset was, okay, this is your chance to prove that you can be on the world stage. Like, you have an opportunity here. Um, you know, don't mess it up. Let's do this. And I had a pretty good mindset going in, and what we worked on in practice, I just did the same thing on the track. Um, just executed the race plan that we were training for. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks, just like working on that kind of race pattern and race plan, and yeah, put it to the test on that race for sure, because we kind of figured out the tweaks that we needed to do from nationals and from Edmonton, and it all fell together in those two meets for sure.
Yeah, like those those are some pretty crazy times. I think a lot of your like the this year you ran like I think I forget, but like your fastest 400, your second fast 400, and maybe your third or fourth, and they're all in Europe.
Yeah, I ran 45:5 and then 45:7, and then went back to Bellinzona and ran 46:1. So that would have been my sixth or seventh fastest 400. So yeah, Bellinzona was a little different story. When I got there, um, I had a tough time adjusting to the time zone difference. I didn't have that much of a tough time in Italy, but in Bellinzona, I couldn't like sleep properly. So it's different every time. Your body adapts, and I definitely learned of what I need to do next time I go to Europe to try to prevent that from happening again. And I didn't get enough sleep in. I probably got around 7 hours of sleep in 3 days over there, and so that's why I feel like that. Maybe not why, but that was a factor for sure of why I didn't run any like didn't run 45 that race. I felt a little flat. I was pretty tired. Um, but there's a lot of other factors that also probably went into it. Um, but I was hoping to get into meets prior to Bellinzona, but I wasn't accepted by the meet directors at all. So I only had one race to kind of prepare for that. So I was hoping to get in a couple more before that, just to adjust the time zone.
Yeah, I've heard from like other athletes, and it's very hard, and we're not used to it, right? Being from North America, a lot of the meets are in the US, and
Mm.
when American athletes have to kind of go to Europe, it's really difficult
Oh, it
sometimes.
is. It is tough. It definitely is tough. And your body, it's never the same every time. Every single time you do that, it's different. And so you have to be prepared for all cases. Because when I went to Italy, I actually slept a lot. Like, I slept like a lot. And then Belzona was, yes, like barely sleeping through the night. 3 hours here, 4 hours here. And staying up. Yeah, I was drinking Red Bull before the race just to stay awake. So yeah, it was a completely different experience that way. So, but you got to be prepared for all of it for sure. It's definitely a good learning experience though. So hopefully this year, if I get a chance to go back to Europe, I'm prepared for that.
On Instagram, you wrote pasta makes you faster. Did you eat a lot of pasta? Like, can you
Oh
test?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we went to Italy. So how these meats work, once you like Europe kind of runs the meats a little bit differently than we do here. They basically like set up like food for you as well. So like over there, they get the hotel for you, and then they set up food, and you get to go to the cafeteria and stuff or whatever they set up, and they ended up just like what they had was a lot of pasta. So we had a lot of pasta, and that was kind of the ongoing joke. I was like, of like I was there with some other Canadian athlete, I think Blade Ajmali. He was there, and we were talking about how all this pasta better make us run fast. So that was kind of like a little joke that we had going on because we had pasta every single day, I think for dinner and for lunch. So
Hmm, that sounds like every athlete's dream where they just set up your food for you. You just
yeah,
eat.
it was good pasta too. The authentic Italian pasta. So it was good.
Do you know about the Canadian Track and Field League?
I do know about the Canadian Track and Field League. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Do you have a favorite team?
My favorite team. I wasn't that invested, but I'm gonna say my buddy Josh Linda won the 100 meters, and I think that was it for the Wolves?
Oh no, he was on the Bears.
He was on the Bears. Okay, on the Bears is my bad. So I say that's my favorite team because Josh is on it.
Do you plan on joining the CTFL next season maybe?
Potentially. I mean, there's a lot of things in the go for me. I still have to talk to my coach about. We're still, yeah. Me and my coach are still like planning out my season, so we'll see. We'll see. It's always an option. So yeah.
Yeah, it will always be an option. Yeah. Um, do you have any plans and or big goals for next season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's always that big goals. First one is making worlds. That's the number one, running the standard. And then, yeah, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. Like the hand standard is 45 flat, so running 44 this year is definitely another goal. And then actually have an indoor goal this year of going for either still decided if we're running 300s or not, me and my coach. But if we run 300s, it's going to be going for the Canadian record in three. Um, and then if not, then just try to run 45 in the indoors in the four. So I've never run an indoor four, but so no expectations there. Just gonna go on the run and see what happens. It seems that it'd be the best when I do that. So, but yeah, and then lastly, so making worlds, and then once I make worlds, it's gonna be making that semifinal, and then see what happens because after that anything can happen. So.
Are you looking for sponsors? You seem to always be wearing Nike, like almost exclusively Nike.
Yeah, I actually used to work at a Nike shop, and so that's why I got a lot of their clothing. So I have a decent amount of Nike, and it fits well on me, and I really like their shoes as well. So yeah, obviously looking for sponsors. That's a big thing. Um, if you know anyone, hook me up. So yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't.
yeah, it's a
Um,
tough thing to come around these days. It's tough. So yeah, we're working on that for sure.